6. For a whole day there had never been a quiet moment. It became much worse when artillery fire erupted again on Purple Mountain early in the evening. The skies to the south were lit up by flames too. Grandpa would catch glimpses of a dazed Ningning at the main room window, her shadow being tossed against the wall by spasmodic, thunderous lightning from massive explosions. The window panes buzzed. Grandpa knew that this was another storm in the sea of endless suffering witnessed by his generation. Nanking would certainly fall, and then Ningning had seemed so reluctant to tear herself away from the window. Grandpa, Ningning said, now sitting inside that hideous black box between the foot of his bed and the wall. Yes, be sure to wake me up tomorrow morning. I will. He could see a pair of eyes twinkling anxiously in a blackened face. Promise? He nodded solemnly. Ningning let the lid fall back slowly and disappeared into the darkness. He was used to suffering and wished he could bear it all himself so that Ningning's young shoulders would be spared. But he wasn't one to just sit and meditate, waiting for enlightenment to strike. He was a practical, if not pragmatic Buddhist with too much of the Confucian teachings already in his bones. He hadn't followed the lotus or the Pure Land sutras exclusively. He read whatever was available, and the ritual of daily chanting had soothed him. He hoped to reach enlightenment one day. In the meantime, he had worldly commitments to keep, commitments he could not abandon for the sake of his own afterlife. He was willing to prolong his own suffering just long enough to be there for Ningning. He could not comprehend her facing it alone. Grandpa, Ningning's voice was muffled, like a voice calling from the Netherlands. You think we'll be okay? Yes. Are you sure? Yes, we'll be all right. Grandpa, is it because Nanking is the capital of China that the Japanese want it so badly? That's right. Otherwise, why had they battered the city so hard for so long? If they could not take the jewel whole, would they destroy it out of spite? Nanking, a jewel to be sure, but a jewel with a jinx. Ningning, want to hear a story? Sure, what about? Nanking. Okay. Once upon a time, Grandpa began, there lived a king in central China. His ambition was to conquer the neighboring kingdoms. These kingdoms have been at war with each other for a long time. Finally, after many years of brutal battles, he succeeds, and that is the beginning of a unified China. You mean Shi Huangdi, the first emperor? Ningning asked. That's right. That is over 2,000 years ago. Shi Huangdi's capital is Xianyang, a city in today's Shanxi province. He consolidates his power through reforms and repressions and is happy to see that relative peace and prosperity are settling over his land. One day, he decides to tour the new empire to show himself as the benevolent ruler to as many of his subjects as possible. That wasn't too bad an idea, was it? Came Ningning's muffled voice. It was a very good idea if we wanted to keep the yellow dragon robe and hold on to power as long as possible. Early one morning, the gates of Xianyang, gaily decked with colorful banners fluttering in the breeze, are thrown open. Imperial guards on strong, proud horses lead the way, followed by countless heavily laden carts and a huge wagon carrying Shi Huangdi himself. The first emperor is on a long journey southward to see the rich valley of the Yangtze, the great river, and the broad reaches of his empire bounded only by the four seas in the east. Oh my, Ningning enthused. He could picture her eyes widened with growing interest. Many days later, Shi Huangdi and his long imperial caravan arrive at the north bank of the great river, right across from where Nanking stands now. However, back then, Nanking is nothing but a cluster of small villages. The emperor is quite taken by the river's immensity, its rising currents, and the beautiful green hills and mountains in the surrounding area. Therefore, right after crossing the river, Shi Huangdi issues a decree that a city, a real city, be built right where Nanking is here today. It is called Ningning then, the Gold Mountain. Grandpa paused to catch his breath. Tens of thousands of laborers are summoned from the valley and other parts of the country to build a new city from ground up. While all this hustle and bustle is going on, Shi Huangdi overhears whispers that Ningning is bubbling with a sort of imperial heavenly qi, and that someone will be born in the city who will one day rise to become emperor. Disturbed, Shi Huangdi summons the feng shui master, credited as the one who started the rumor. How dare you invent and propagate such nonsense to upset the emperor? You want your head to be separated from your body? Shi Huangdi shouts with the fury of a dragon. Please, your imperial majesty, the feng shui master prostrates in front of the throne and begs. Please cease to be angry, lest it affects his imperial majesty's precious health. Your slave would never dare even dream of inventing anything to upset his imperial majesty. Then explain yourself, roars Shi Huangdi. And here is the feng shui master's explanation. Ningning is divinely favored by its location. It is nurtured by the great river and shielded by so many enchanted hills and mountains in its vicinities. The peak of the heavenly seal mountain to its southeast thrust so high into the misty cloud as if it were a seal bestowed by heaven. To its northeast towers the purple mountain. It looks like a crown garlanded with a radiant purple halo from morning till night all year round. Nestling in the environs are also the Sun Roost Mountain, the Green Dragon Mountain, and a dozen more such magnificent hills and mountains. Your imperial majesty, your slave would never dare even dream of saying one word if your slave were not convinced by Ningning's feng shui that someone born here will be favored by heaven to replace the Qing one day. Shi Huangdi is stunned. What would you suggest the emperor should do to avert this disaster? Shi Huangdi pulls his long beard and asks. Shi Huangdi believed the feng shui master? Asked Ningning. Did he have a choice? Too many things had been going on in the world that couldn't be explained otherwise. The feng shui master suggests bringing the water of the Huai River to the foot of the heavenly seal mountain, cutting a ditch into the mountain so that the Huai River water will wash away its heavenly qi, and cutting another ditch through the heart of Ningning so that the water would channel away whatever qi that gives the place its heavenly aura. A tributary of the last ditch, a canal of some sort, will turn westward near the city's outskirts, dump Ningning's qi into the great river. To make sure the qi is ruined, the feng shui master suggests renaming a little creek on the north side of the Purple Mountain Lock Gold Creek, meaning to lock up the golden qi inside the mountain. Between cutting, locking, and other measures, the heavenly qi of Ningning will be sapped, the feng shui master promises. That way, the Qing dynasty and his imperial majesty will be secure for 10,000 years and more. That's why the Huai River is called Hongwu River today, Grandpa concluded with a sigh. No wonder, Ningning yawned. Just a legend, though, he cautioned. It wouldn't be wise to believe or disbelieve such stories completely. I know. More yawning from Ningning. Grandpa, yes. Remember your promise to wake me up tomorrow morning? I will. Ningning yawned one more time, and all became quiet from her direction. And that Nanking being jinxed was why Grandpa stopped. He could hear Ningning's breathing becoming long and deep. That was perhaps why, he continued to muse, all the dynasties and rulers that had chosen Nanking as their capital had been short-lived. The longest lasted 103 years, most of them no more than a few dozen years, and the Qing dynasty itself, it collapsed within 15 years. As for the nationalist government, the celebrations commemorating the 10th anniversary of Nanking as the capital were barely over before the noise outside quieted down as the night deepened. Grandpa seemed to doze, but a part of him remained awake and kept an eye on the big black box throughout the night.